Colorado families this week on Community Chat, Hagen Nares PLC Truck Wreck and Brain Injury Lawyers is interviewing Alan McDaniel, owner of the Alan McDaniel Agency, a farmers insurance agency. Alan is in the business of protecting families. He specializes in insuring families with their cars, homes, and umbrella policies, and insuring commercial businesses like many of our family owned businesses in town. We are here to learn more about his journey to starting the Alan McDaniel Agency. What is it like to be a client at the Alan McDaniel Agency? And how Alan, in just 10 minutes, can pinpoint for families all their financial liabilities in the worst case scenarios. Welcome, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Kaylin. Thanks for having me. I love your shows. They're very informative.
Well, I appreciate you, Alan. I appreciate you being here. And so, really, what we all want to learn is kind of what was your journey? How did you start getting into the insurance field? How did you start the Alan McDaniel Agency? We want to learn about that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So, you know, people ask me, what did you think you're going to be an insurance agent when you were a little kid? So, no, I had no idea. I think I wanted to be a baseball player, but it's funny. Years ago, my wife and I were looking for an insurance agent. We wanted to have someone, understand our needs, listen to us, figure out what coverages we needed, help us through claim situations, the stuff, right? And we failed. We couldn't find anybody that was that good. They would, write us some coverage, and then we're covered, and then we'd call with a claim, and oh gosh, I wish you had that coverage. What do you mean? Wait, we want that coverage. We asked for it. You mean we don't have it? So we feel like we failed in finding a good insurance agent. And then a light bulb went off. Wow, I could use my, over 20 years experience of helping folks, listening to their needs, finding solutions, doing those types of things. And let's do that. And so I started the Alan McDaniel Agency. Uh, we take care of thousands of people now. Love that business. I love really helping people and helping them through the situations and helping them through their claims. We've seen so many, and when we help those folks, we feel really good about it. That's how I got started.
Well, that's awesome. And so the way our firm is, Hagen Nares Personal Injury Attorneys, what we like to do is give really good client communication. We like to let them know what each stage of the process is going to be like so that they just don't have any doubts. And it's very confusing. For you, when someone walks into your office to get insurance, and I could tell you from my clients, that exact feeling of after the fact when they have a claim and they realize they should have had more coverage, they should have had more protection, but their agent didn't tell them about it. I've been in that spot as well. When someone comes into your office, they sit down. What is the experience like being at the Alan McDaniel Agency? What do you talk to them
Yeah,
about?
yeah, that's a great question. And so we do something called a policy review. And I do this with my current clients once a year, just to make sure that we have the right coverages because things change. Caitlin, you've got two kids now.
Mhm.
So coverage a few years ago didn't mean as much as it does today, right? So that's different, right? So we are always looking at what changes are happening. But when a person first comes into our agency, we do that same policy review. So I offer to everyone a free policy review. Bring in the coverages that you have with someone else. We take a look, and I give basically a full audit of what they have, and I let them know. I give them kind of a list. Here's your shopping list. Here's the 3, 4, 5, 6 things that are gaps I see, things that we should improve. And they can take that list of 6 things to their current agent and fix it. And I do that free of charge. But sometimes those folks, when they do that, they feel like, oh my gosh, I might not have been explained properly. I might not have been listened to properly. I don't think I'm being represented properly. Maybe I could come to the Alan McDaniel Agency and be taken care of. And That's our goal. And so once they're with us in our agency, we have a team of people that can help. Uh, my office manager has over 30 years experience in the industry, uh, 15 years of it in the claims department. So she actually knows how the whole claim goes through the entire process. That's very helpful. Um, and so we've got a great team that can help and understand and walk you through the situation. You don't feel like you have to call claims and feel like, oh my gosh, I'm out there in the open all alone. We walk you and we hand hold you through the process.
Well, that's great. And so a lot of people may be thinking, Caitlin, you're a personal injury attorney. You help injured people. Why on earth are you friends with Alan McDaniel, Farmers Insurance? Isn't that person on the opposite side? The reason why I have a great relationship with Alan and other insurance adjusters is because my clients, like anybody else, can be on the other side, meaning all of us could be on the roadways and, stuff happens and we could commit a wreck and potentially have our own liabilities. And so I'm always in the position that I want to help my clients figure out what's going on. So we could talk all day about what my clients need to protect themselves if they're injured. And we'll meet with Alan again to have that conversation. But today's going to be unique. Today, we're going to talk about what happens if we're at fault. What happens if we're liable? And Alan is an expert at this, and he could sit down with families and in just 10 minutes talk to us about all the potential liabilities we would have if we were ever at fault. And so, Alan, talk to us a little bit more about that. Train us a little bit about what you would talk to families about what are some potential liability exposures if they commit a wreck, for instance, or if something happens at their small business, and how do you protect them?
Yeah, it's a great question. And understanding liability, right? So let's think of a couple of different situations. Maybe I have some guests in my office, and the previous guest um, spilled some water on my beautiful stained concrete floor. Wow. So now it's a slippery floor. And that slippery floor becomes a hazard that I was not aware of. And the next client walks in, slips, falls down, hits her head, and now she has a brain injury. That's a terrible situation, right? Also, you know, people have cars. They drive cars here in Colorado. We have snow and ice in Colorado. I probably should have changed my tires, but I think I can get through this winter. Maybe at the end of next summer, I'll change the tires for the next winter, save a little money. And so my tires are okay. Um, and I'm coming down that hill and I'm kind of noticing that people are stopping, but it just looks wet. It's okay. So I start slowing down and now I'm slipping. And I'm slipping and I'm going to hit that car ahead of me. And yes, I hit that car ahead of me. I'm okay. I get out and I check the car ahead of me and they look really injured. And so now those two situations can take a lot of liability and hit me pretty hard with it. And what am I exposed for, right? So and I have a great little form I use. I built it with my daughter. She's a lawyer. And we took that multi-page form that many lawyers take, and it basically says, what type of assets do we have at risk, right? We own a home, we own cars, we own things. We also have employment where we can have garnishments from our employment. So what I do is I sit down with my clients and we walk through that entire page. It's one page, very simple. It's about 10 minutes. And we walk through that entire page and we get a number. We add it all up. And at the bottom, there's a number. And that number might be 1.3 million, right? And if that number is 1.3 million, we'll want to insure to that. Well, how do we do that? We typically add umbrella liability coverage to our auto and home coverage, right? And that extends liability from your auto and home, and it gives you that extra, let's say, $1 million. And that extra, let's say, $1 million will help us cover the expenses of a terrible accident, right? I just did a $6 million umbrella the other day. We went through their liabilities. Actually, it was two lawyers that, and they're in a different business, but they're lawyers, and they had some fairly high assets, and so we had to cover them properly. And they also have some commercial properties that they have in their name, so we had to do all that. That that's the key is making sure that if we're sued because there's something wrong, we injured someone, and there's all these expenses that need to be taken care of. We have enough coverage that the insurance company pays, not us, right?
Yeah.
I've seen people that have maybe $100,000 liability coverage in their vehicle, and they hit someone and they're very injured, and so the settlement might have been $800,000. Well, the insurance company quickly pays $100,000 and they're done. Now, the rest of the $700,000 needs to come from that person that hit the other car. And what are they going to do? Sell their home?
And I think
You
that's
know?
great, Alan.
So we don't want that to happen.
And that's exactly why I wanted to have you on the show, because we just want to protect our communities. You and me both are in the business of protecting families. And so the more
Yeah.
people that we can talk about. So, for instance, we have a really catastrophic case where two neighbors, they collided in each other at a very busy intersection.
Ooh.
And one of my client in particular, as most of them are, has catastrophic injuries, including brain injuries, and he will struggle for the rest of his life. Now, the at fault party, his neighbor essentially in the same community, luckily had a $1 million umbrella. And so that $1 million umbrella is going to cover all the future treatment that our client needs and won't have any personal liability. So that's exactly what we're talking about. That's why we want to protect the communities. We want the word out that not only do we need sufficient coverage if we're injured, and we'll talk to Alan in another episode about that, but if we are at fault, we want to make sure that our community members are safe. So that is fantastic. It seems like that would be there's a lot of reasons to go to the Alan McDaniel Agency, because one, we can have a free review of our policies and he'll just check it out, make sure it's good. And I know Alan, and if he thinks that the coverage that you already have is good, he's going to let you know that, which is excellent. And also he's going to talk to you about these liabilities and if there's anything that can if he can be of any assistance. So at the end of the day, we just want to help communities out. We want to get the word out. And so, Alan, if anybody wants to contact you and visit the Alan McDaniel Agency, I know people from very, different communities. You're in the Castle Rock area, but people all over the state are coming to see you. And I know that you'll also talk to them on the phone, video interviews. You're statewide, just like I am. How can they reach out to you?
Mm-hmm. Well, they can call our office at 303-986-4567. We've got a team ready, waiting to help them. They can look at our website, the Alan McDaniel Agency. We're in Castle Rock and Lakewood, but on the commercial side, I go visit people everywhere. I've got clients in Trinidad and Fort Collins and the Western Slope. It doesn't matter if it's Colorado, I can help.
Awesome. That is fantastic. And we'll include all of your information in our show notes. So thank you, Alan. I can't wait to chat with you again. Next time we speak, we'll talk about how we can get a sufficient coverage if we're the injured ones. But I really appreciate you helping out the communities. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Caitlin.